My name is Bruce and you're watching Your Travels with Bruce. In this video, I'm going to be talking about river cruising, more specifically comparing ocean cruising and river cruising. What is it that makes river cruising so desirable, so unique, and why has it become so popular? We'll take a look and let you know, is river cruising the right thing for me? Because for some people, it may not. But for others, it may be a fantastic experience and open a new world of exploration to them. So there are a couple of features that make river cruising a little more unique to ocean cruising. Number one is the size and scale. In a river cruise, you're going to be in a much smaller vessel. And as a result, there are going to be fewer passengers. It's going to be a more intimate experience. But it's also going to be a more immersive experience because you're going to be traveling into towns and villages, and you're going to be exploring them in more detail and in depth. Some itineraries may have you in a country for 2 to 3 days compared to an ocean cruise where you may be in a port for a few hours and then you're in another country miles away. In river cruising, because of the travel time involved, you're more in that culture or in that area, depending on whether you're on the Rhine or the Danube or the Seine or the Rhone or the Nile. You are in that culture for an extended period of time, but it's also right there at your fingertips. With river cruising, as I said, you may be docked right in the heart of a town or a village as opposed to miles away. Ocean cruise, you also have to purchase excursions, or you may not have them included. In a river cruise, there's always going to be a river excursion available and included to you. In some cases, you may be doing multiple excursions in a day, or you may have an excursion half of the day and you may be sailing on the other half. Or you may be spending an evening docked in a port or a town where you can explore late at night and then sail the next day. So let's talk about the ship and the movement on a ship. If you're accustomed to ocean-going voyages, you may be encountering, in some cases, seasickness or motion sickness, which does impact a lot of us, and there are wristbands and shots that we can take to help manage that. One of the great features or uniqueness of river cruising is that is not an issue. Because the waters in which the river cruises operate are very, very tranquil. They're also not the deepest or the widest bodies. So it is very, very unlikely that you would ever experience any type of rocking or motion to a river cruise compared with ocean cruising. The ships are very stable. They're very smooth. They're very calm. Another thing that I want to talk about is the locking system and ships going through locks. If you are on the Danube, there is a very, very strong possibility you will be going through locks, and those can be a very exciting adventure, and for some they can be a little fearful. If you are claustrophobic, some of the lock chambers in the main Danube Canal are very high, and as I said, the river cruisers just clear them, so they can be very tight. For those that are suffer from claustrophobia, I recommend watching a movie or a television or reading a book in your cabin with the blinds closed, so you don't actually experience the tightness. If you're somebody that likes adventure, you may want to be able to go up on that upper deck and see all of the lock workings and the mechanisms and see your ship raising and lowering. Some of the locks, and I have a video of this, are over 90 feet deep, and the ships just clear them. One of the amazing features of river cruising is that the ships are designed to be able to go under low bridges, and that means the upper deck, where you're used to seeing chaises and canopies and activities, actually everything collapses down on them. The railings come down, and they may limit the number of people able to go up onto the decks when that's happening. But it is amazing, and as I say, check out the video I have going through one of the locks. It's quite incredible. Another important feature that I need to talk about is flexibility. If you are choosing a river cruise, you need to be flexible. River cruisers, because they are operating on the river levels can rise and fall, and that can impact the ship's ability to move through an itinerary. And in some cases, it may interrupt an itinerary. So if you have a need for ensuring that you're in point A during this time, that may be a struggle for you. So if you're looking at river cruising, you need to be flexible. That being said, the river cruise companies that are established have routines. They know how to manage high and low waters and broken locks and bridges they can't navigate. They have a routine set up to maximize your enjoyment and minimize your interruption. Also, to understand a river cruise environment is a little more constrained and controlled in terms of flexibility to take excursions at times you want to. The cruise will have scheduled excursions throughout the day, and as I mentioned, you will be taking at least one, potentially one or two excursions a day. If you like to explore on your own, you will have the opportunity to do this when you're in port. So there may be excursions or destinations that you don't necessarily want to see and you want free time. You will have the ability to do that. There are also river cruise companies that offer vacation experiences that don't include those excursions, where you can choose a line that doesn't necessarily have the excursions included, but they do have the accommodation, the flights, or the meal package, beverage package with your cruise fare. So do your research before booking. If you need to, consult your travel professional. They should be able to give you advice and point you in the right direction. So if you are considering looking into taking a river cruise, it's important that you understand the inclusions that are in your cruise fare, but it's also important you understand the itinerary and what each day will look like. How structured are the times for when I'm going to be ashore? Is there free time? Am I going to enjoy being on these excursions, and are these places I want to go? River cruising is incredibly popular right now. Cruise itineraries, if they are specialized, oftentimes will be booked up 6 to 9 months in advance. For example, if you're somebody that wants to take a Christmas cruise or a Christmas market cruise down the Rhine, you may need to be booking up to 1 year in advance to get a reasonable or comfortable cabin. So that's something that you want to take into consideration as you start planning. So I also want to talk to you about the ships themselves. As I said, they're smaller, more intimate. However, the ships and the layout of ships, depending upon which line, the majority of the ships will have the same layout. The cabin features, the inclusions will be different from line to line. However, the river size and the locking system on the rivers will control or limit the capacity of the vessels. And each of the river cruise lines have done a phenomenal job maximizing the space on board. However, if you are choosing cabins, you need to be aware of certain features to each of the different cabin categories. Probably a very similar layout, just the location is slightly different. There will be cabins on 3 decks. The lowest deck, as I like to call it, is aquarium class. These are ocean view cabins. They are at the water level. You will have a picture window at eye level or just above, depending upon your height. And as I said, they are located on the lowest deck, and these are entry-level cabins. If you move up onto the next deck, deck 1 or the main deck, here you will find balcony cabins and also panorama balcony or suite cabins, depending upon which river cruise line you're on. And these will either have a separate area to step out as a balcony, or they will have a floor-to-ceiling picture window that you can slide across to allow open air. As I said, this is controlling the size. The rivers are controlling the size of the cabins, and that as a result will also control the maximum space you have. So if you're choosing a cabin that has an external balcony to it or area, that's going to impact the space inside the cabin. Similarly, if you're choosing a cabin that doesn't have that outdoor space, or maybe has a picture window or a sliding glass door, that will give you more space inside the cabin. And then the next level up, or the top level, tends to have the exact same features, where you may have a separate balcony or a French balcony where there's a railing and a patio door across. The other areas of the ship that I want to talk to you about and explain are the location. So cabins tend to be located in the back part of the ship and the front part, and the lowest level you will have a food or a restaurant area, the dining area. Above that typically is a lounge, and then on the top deck is a sun lounge that you can enjoy when you are sailing, or in the evening sit out and look at the town or relax, however you choose. But those tend to be the structure. And in some cases you may have a lounge at the back end of the ship on one of the decks, but 99% of the ships all have the same layout. The last thing I want to talk about is the actual cruise lines that operate in Europe, Asia, Africa. There are many of them, and many people have become familiar with one brand, and that is due to the high number of commercials and marketing that they have invested in certain areas of the globe. If you're looking at a river cruise, make sure to take the time to look at the difference between one line and the other. As I said, there are several major players, and some of the players have many more ships sailing on the same itineraries because they have filled or have the capacity to fill because of their marketing. So take your time and check out or get recommendations from a travel agent or from friends about the different cruise lines and compare one to the other. They all have a very high level of service. I've traveled on several of them myself and found them to be wonderful. So that's it from me. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that button so I can bring you more videos. And we'll see you in the next video.